So today I'm going to share with you how to make just a rosemary and basil with a little bit of oregano and thyme vegetable, just a baked grilled vegetable. So I use on this one little baby carrots and potatoes, and I've boiled these ahead of time and cooled them, and I'm just going to prepare them today for the bake. I'm using some cauliflower and some collards, big beautiful collard greens, and a little bit of a leek. So first of all, I'll prepare the collards. These are all about the same level for cooking now, so I can add them all to my oven at the same time. So I just section the collard off into 4 pieces, and then I roll it so that I can just get little small pieces, and maybe hit that with crossways. You could use kale here or Brussels or any other green. Then I'll just put these here into a bowl. Now when you buy the organic cauliflower, there's quite a bit of leftover side pieces, and these are very good for eating as well. So just trim those down. I've washed this. I used a little bit of my doTERRA On Guard cleaning solution, soaped it up. Wonderful. Sometimes I just use a little bit of On Guard and water and clean and spray, and then rinse it down. So yeah, these greens are super great for your gut flora, keeping that microbiome working well so that you can stay healthy. And then I just put these in little bite-sized pieces. The cauliflower will cook up really quite quickly in the oven, so you don't want to pre-cook that. Now, when you use your oils in cooking, there are flavonoids and little micronutrients that are sensitive to heat. So you'll want to use your regular olive oil to drizzle over these while you drizzle over some really fresh oils with basil and oregano and a little bit of thyme in them, so that it doesn't damage the benefit of the oils while it's cooking. You want to preserve that, just like you don't want to use your extra virgin olive oil to cook with. You use that for, it won't hurt it, and it can take high temperatures, but whenever oils are steaming or losing their really great nutrient value, you want to avoid that. Now I've just cut up a leek. For those of you that are not using leeks in your baking and in your cooking, they're kind of like a green onion but very mild. But I really love them and use them a lot. So I'm adding 1 whole leek to that. And then I'm taking my carrots and potatoes, just throw that anywhere, and just slicing them in half so that I have a nice size piece. And I really like the way they roast up with being open a little bit. I like a little bit of crusties on that. Now I'm using 2 types of potatoes. 3. There's actually 3 types in here. There's the little medley of the purple potatoes, which have some great, whenever you have colors in your vegetables, those are great flavonoids, and those flavonoids are the things that are so good for us. So try to use those whenever you can. Try to use your purple cabbage. That would be the best cabbage, and slice little bits of it up and put it into your regular salad. Such a great idea. Then I'm just going to line up these carrots. And you could slice them either way. I'm just going to slice them straight through, so I have nice size, bite-sized little pieces. I really love the flavor of big carrots. A lot of times I'll get them at the Asian store. So it's just whatever works for you. Sometimes these are easier, but if you haven't tried the really nice, big, thick carrots and cut those up and cook them, you are missing out. You just want them to be as generic, or all generically about the same size when you finish cutting them up, you know, so that it looks symmetrical. The last thing that I've added here that you don't need to pre-cook either is just some yellow pepper, or the orange peppers. I've cut up a half of a little bit more than a half of one of these red onions, and a little bit of small green onions. So you can see that's in there. Here's a piece that I didn't get small enough. So now I've got some herbs to put on here, and you know, ultimately you want to put your herbs and seasonings on after things are cooked, because you're going to preserve a lot of the powerful nutrients that you can get in them. But I want these to be very savory, so I'm going to add some now and then some when they come out. So I'm adding first 2 teaspoons of dried parsley, and then I'm taking 1 heaping teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And I'm just going to crush that down to kind of break apart the herbs and what I'm doing is just crushing it between my fingers as I put that in. You make sure your herbs are still fresh, make sure they have a lot of aroma. I really like the flavonoids and the color of paprika in with my veggies, so I'm adding 1 heaping tablespoon of paprika. Whenever you have those wonderful colors in your herbs, you know those are good for you. I really love basil, such a wonderful, and I've got some freeze-dried basil here, and I'm doing the same thing with that, just kind of crushing it, rubbing it back and forth. This takes a little heavier rub, so I'm giving it a real hard rub. There we go. Okay, with that I'm going to be adding some salt. I've got a gourmet salt here with some different, instead of just pure salt, it's got a few spices in it. Look for things like that. I love the sea salt. I love the real salt with the minerals in it. Be sure you're taking your iodine. Get a drop a day, you need that. We're not getting enough of it. Now basically when I pour my oil over here, this is going to be baked. So if I'm using an extra virgin olive oil, you should just preserve and use the regular extra oil, or regular olive oil. You don't need the extra virgin. So I've just got some regular canola oil in here with some olive oil, and I'm going to pour that over the top of my veggies. Not too much, just 3 tablespoons. You don't want to put more fat on. I mean, this is still very dense calorie fat. You just want to use enough of it. It's good for you, especially when you take it, you know, raw. I mean, without cooking it. Those omega oils are, especially the 6 and 9, we get a lot from our food. And then just pour that over. Notice how I sort of caught it to spread it in. And cumin is another great seasoning. I'm just going for the Mediterranean, the rosemary, basil, thyme. Okay, then pour that out onto a baking dish and bake that for 350 for 20 to 45 minutes. So bake it until it's nice and crispy. You see some little colors. Put some of those potatoes up so you can get the browning on them that you love. And I'll be back. Okay, now that we've got all of our vegetables roasted, it's time to infuse them with some of the wonderful flavors. So I've put about 2 tablespoons, trying to see about 1/8 of a cup, maybe 3 tablespoons of olive oil in here. And I'm going to, before I add the oils, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them. So first of all, I have this Mediterranean cooking oil right here, and this is Italian flavoring. So this is perfect for this type of a medley. If you have this, you can use about 5 drops in with your oil and spread that in. So say you just have your oregano, basil, rosemary, and thyme. So rosemary and basil are really delicious. You can add about 2 or 3 drops of each of those. But if you have oregano, it's very hot oil. So you just want to kind of make sure that you only get 1 drop of oregano. And once you put these in and prepare these to, it's hard to get it out. Mine's a little dry. So you just want to make sure you get 1 drop. You can get a toothpick and reach it up in there and just get a little bit out that way. And then thyme. Thyme is a very hot oil, so 1 drop of the thyme. And then basil. Oh, I just love basil. 3 drops. So good for you. So many benefits for your immune. 3 drops of the rosemary. And then you just drizzle that over so that you have those wonderful flavors. And you can either serve it right now or eat it cold. I like to just barely warm it up a little bit, like I said, because we want to not expose those really sensitive little flavonoids and micronutrients to too much heat. Keep it under 170 degrees and you'll be fine. So enjoy. These smell wonderful. It looks like they need a little more salt, but I prefer to add that right on top, right before I eat it, rather than put a lot of it into it. The vegetables stay a little crunchier and it tastes better to me when you do it that way.